evening all, welcome to the battlefield. Right, today we're looking at shooting stuff down. Simple really. This is a guide how to turn choppers from that into that and watch the nice corpse ragdoll down. I love the way it does that. So today that's what we're looking at. Now this is it's an interesting one really, because I found certainly with my look at the way this map starts. I didn't realize there's no pilot in this. Oh my god, the game it's a really weird game. I love it and I hate it at the same time, and I've got to admit I'm having real fun but also real disharmony playing it at the moment, and it's only because I think I'm not terribly great at it, but I've got to admit it's all about finding a niche, and I think my niche at the moment has been rocketry. I'm actually really enjoying playing the engineer, particularly with things like the rocket launcher and so on, and just more importantly, check out that grenade, boom. I think there's a funny kind of thing with Battlefield where you really do have to just get used to I think dying relatively often, and I think this Stinger, what I've done is I've unlocked to the level, I think it's level 3, I could be wrong, but it's a level 3 rocket launcher, which is a Stinger missile, so it only works on aerial units. And it's fascinating when you go into a server where you have a whole team of people who only seem to use aerial units. It's actually quite fun because they do an astonishing amount of damage. So as you can see here, that guy managed to just recover that. Boom, not recovering that, are you, dude? And that's lovely. And so the wonderful thing about Battlefield is it does create quite a lot of rage. So I've just killed that bro there, and he's obviously not too happy with me as I look around for more targets to shoot. He's actually just respawned and is making a beeline right to my position to come end me. And I think this is there's something quite very enjoyable about just sticking around. So I know that he's coming. It's just the way this game seems to work, that when you kill someone and that they will generally come for you, particularly if you're stationary. And as you can see, I'm not moving, mainly because I can't. I'm actually locked in. So, as it stands, the Stinger, I think, is something that is an interesting one. So here we go. Oh, he tried to knife me, but I knifed you, my brother. There we go. So there we go. It's a funny thing. I think the game at the moment is feeling so good. It's a funny thing really, because there is really, I think Battlefield have got it right where most of the games have not, which is you can play a game like Dust and many other FPSs, and you'll find that generally you'll get a player who can kind of do everything at every point. They can kill they can kill tanks, they can kill helicopters, they can kill infantry, yada yada yada, and it's a little bit annoying in a way because there is kind of there's no specialization. And that's what I love about Battlefield, is that you do need to specialize. Yes, you can have very strong infantry versus infantry, but the reality is that a Stinger missile is designed to do this and only this, and that's what I love about it. Look at that, blap, down you go, son. And I think this is some of the funniest parts of the game are usually when something like that happens. And I've got to admit, this map, it's not my favorite map, by the way. This is that awful flood zone map. And it just bothers me, this one. I'm not a big fan of it at all. But I've got to admit, for this map, a lot of people play aerial units. So this is why I think having a Stinger makes a lot of sense. And I'm really, obviously, quite enjoying the fact that the majority of the kills you get are pretty good as well. As you can see, the Stinger does a huge amount of damage. It hits the vehicle. It also immobilizes it. So if you've got a bad pilot in, lo and behold, they generally crash, and that's the beauty of it. So even if they've got engineers in the back repping it, it's not a given that a single Stinger missile won't kill a thing, but it will seriously damage it. So the skill of the pilot kicks in, and they have to then recover it. And I think that's exceptionally good game design. But that's just my opinion. And, I think if you're playing Battlefield, post in the comments, let me know what you think, because I've got to admit, I started off as the recon. That was just a bad mistake. I got really soured to the game because sniping isn't what I thought it would be, and it's also bloody hard. I then switched to support, and I did support for quite a while, and I unlocked a number of shotguns, and I had a real laugh doing it. But shotguns are only good on certain maps. So Operation Locker, for example, is probably the only map where a shotgun is king. Otherwise, it's just generally gimped and behind in its ability. I then played Assault for a while, and I've got to admit, Assault to me was a very powerful class. I quite enjoyed it. I unlocked some of the guns, but then I found Engineer, and it's only because I think the Engineer to me was always a negative, because I didn't want to be the guy that goes and reps things. I don't like that kind of gameplay, but I was wrong. I actually don't do much repping. What I find is I very quickly unlocked the carbine, and the carbine's a very good gun. And I'm enjoying the rocket launchers as well. As you can see, they do a substantial amount of damage. So you see that guy's in big trouble. Oh, your little flares don't work, my friend. And boom, there you go, vehicle destroyed. And I love it. I think the missile launchers are definitely worth a look at. I think if you're getting sick of being killed by vehicles over and over, then I would heartily recommend you give it a go. So we now switch back to the level 1 rocket launch, which I guess is the LAW. The LAW, I think, or the LAW rocket. And this has a little bit of auto-aim, I think. I could be wrong, post in the comments if I'm wrong. But as you can see, you're generally firing in the rough direction and you're getting the kill. And you can see it pretty much makes mincemeat of vehicles. But the Stinger, back to the Stinger, is really, I think, the only anti-air unit of worth. It is, I mean, it's just brilliant. I can see why America sold so many of them to all the kind of the dangerous places of the world, because they are really good, and they're just simple. You pick your target, you fire, and then pretty much they're in trouble. And I like the fact that it's not a one-hit kill. I think there's probably nothing worse in a game than a one-hit kill. In Dust 514 at the moment, if you fire a forge gun at a dropship, which is the equivalent of a helicopter, it's a bit annoying that it can just one-shot it. I don't think that feels... Well, it doesn't feel very fair. I think fairness is not really a metric that most people care about, but I think there's something a bit bad about it. So I think there is a real reward for players in this game to actually have skills. So there you go. That guy obviously was jumping out, but wow, he missed his target. And I think the Stinger is just one of these kind of very specialized weapons. Now, one of the things I would say about Battlefield, and I think probably more than no other, and again, veteran Battlefield players will sagely stroke and scratch your neckbeard when I say this, because I am relatively new to Battlefield. I played only a little bit of 3. It's a phenomenally tactical game, because you could have a squad that worked together, and one was Stinger, one was an anti-vehicle fit, one could have a recon, and the others could be whatever they need to be, support, medic, etc. And that's a very powerful combo. And I think I'd love to run in a squad which is that organized. I think we're not. We generally run and just have a bit of fun. But to have a squad that is that organized, and literally you all spawn on each other and you stick together. Whoa! Somebody must tell me, point me to a video where somebody does that, because that must be like the most amazing thing ever. I don't think there's many squad games out there like this, where actually people play, quote, as a squad. It's all a little bit kind of like, oh, where's Fred? Oh, well, Fred's run off because he's going to go and, teabag someone. It's that kind of thing, and I think there's definitely something quite cool about people who do play as a group like that. They always have my admiration when they do that. So a little bit of payback. I'm not quite sure how I survived that, but I did, and then that guy didn't, so that was fun. This is the beauty of the game. Obviously, he set up a very bad tripwire claymore, and it didn't kill me, but it did a good job of hurting me. But then obviously he wasn't looking behind him, and blap, we killed him. And again, as you can see, then God-friendly fire was on, because it's difficult to judge who's who when you don't necessarily always see the green and red marker immediately. So I think that's quite nice. I like that. I think friendly fire games where it's on, where people aren't trolling and they're actually playing the game properly, is a joy. It really is, because you do have to be very careful. Particularly when you look at some of the ordnance that people are using. Wow, there's some pretty dangerous guns out there. So, I think at the moment, I'm still, noobing it up. I'm getting more and more used to the certain things. I'm very jealous of people who found their class that they love and they stick with it, and they're now masters of it, level 50, level 100, whatever. I'm really jealous of you guys, because I wish I had done that. I really, flim-flammed around with the particular categories. I wish I had just gone for one and stuck with it. That was my intention with recon, but I would go like 0 and 20, and believe me, that's demoralizing. When you do that, demoralizing. So this is why I think I wish I'd maybe stuck with engineer sooner. I do quite enjoy the engineer. I think it's particularly when it comes to vehicles, because A, they can kill vehicles, and B, they can also keep them up. And I think that's actually quite a nice feature. I like the fact that you can have a huge battle in the air with engineers repping the vehicle. I know that's not kind of realistic, but the kind of franticness of it certainly is, and then that becomes quite an achievement when you see 2 full squads fighting each other in a helicopter. That's very satisfying, and I do quite like that. Again, I would say probably the challenge is you know, just finding the right match to do it, because sometimes it's so frantic, you know, your vehicle can die in seconds. So, you know, a lot of the time it's quite, I don't know, it's quite difficult to really get a streak going on the game. I certainly found this because, you know, particularly on this map, I'm not a big fan of this map at all, because every 5 seconds I get shot. And even by friends. Look at that, Donnerwork shot me, I'll get you. But this is the beauty of the game, I think, and it's also, in a way, the negative of the game. And I think if you can overcome it, you'll find yourself enjoying the game massively. But again, we'll see how that develops. I'm quite enjoying Engineer, and I think I'm going to stick with it for the time being. If only because I think the weird thing about Engineer is that it can be so versatile. Yes, you need ammo, yes, you need revive, but I think just generally I'm doing better with Engineer than I have with you know, others. So there we go, pretty terrible for me, 13 and 22. Eesh, that's not good. But again, a great example, I think, of the the way the map is. So there we go. I think just a quick shout out, check out our website. Go there for some, you know, interesting articles on X, Y, and Z. And of course, please subscribe and favorite the video if you have a moment. And I hope you enjoyed that. We will see you next time.